Okay guys, so today I want to talk to you about a very common movement that we use, the hip hinge. So the hip hinge, I'm going to demonstrate for you the hip hinge. The hip hinge is simply a movement where we bend over and we stand up. And it's called a hip hinge because this is the joint, the hip, where we're creating our movement from. So the most common example of the hip hinge that we have is the kettlebell swing. So I'm going to do a couple of kettlebell swings here. So you can see in this movement, I'm just bending over and standing up. So a couple of things that are happening in the hip hinge, I'm pushing my hips back behind me and my shoulders are coming forward to give me a balanced position. If I push my hips back and my shoulders stay high, I'm going to fall over. So some of the issues that we see with the hip hinge are people not understanding the difference between a movement where I bend here or a movement where I bend at the knees. So it's very simple, but it can be confusing. So I'm going to show you some examples of a swing where we see a different movement pattern. So this is me breaking at the knees or bending over and then pushing the knees forward. So in my correct hip hinge, I'm going to bend over and just stand up. So the way that we set up the hip hinge is that we need to start with the knees slightly unlocked. If I have my knees straight, the problem I have is that if I push my hips behind me, my back starts to round and I can't control this position. Whereas if I'm slightly unlocked, I can now keep my back nice and straight. So a very simple drill that you can use just to groove the hip hinge is just to come up against the wall. So you stand up against the wall, touching, bum, heels, shoulders. You take a step forward. We start in that good position with the knees bent, and all we're going to do is reach back, touch the wall. Reach back, touch the wall. Reach back, touch the wall. From here, what I can do is step forward a bit more, increase the range of motion. So now I have to reach back further. I'm going to feel a bigger stretch here. And again, I'm going to find a position where I can really just about touch, get a big stretch, and I can really groove this pattern of moving my hips behind me. And then when I go to swing my kettlebell, in my head I'm thinking, imagining there's something behind, and I've got to reach back and touch it, so I'm getting this horizontal movement and not this up and down breaking at the knees movement. So, as I said before, the hip hinge is a very simple concept, but a lot of people struggle with it. But it is something that you should be able to do, and it's something that transfers not only to our kettlebell swing, but also, for example, if we're doing good mornings, so that movement with the bar on our back, Romanian deadlifts, again where we're trying to hinge the hips, push the hips back. Also, another common area where we see an issue is in the hang clean or the hang snatch. That's also a hip hinge. We're also pushing the hips back and trying to avoid this knees forward position. So keep practicing it. It should become second nature to you that if you want, you can hinge your hips or bend your knees, but know and understand that